A huge month of announcements from Matchroom Pool. Lots and lots to talk about on January's Off the Rail. Welcome along to January's Off the Rail, and what a start it's been to 2020 at Matchroom Pool. Loads of big announcements, and I'm pleased to say to talk through them, I'm joined by Matchroom Multisport COO Frazer. And Emily, I don't really know where to start. There's so much to talk about with the Mosconi Cup, the World 9 Ball, the World Cup of Pool, the World Pool Masters, the new World Pool rankings that Matchroom are doing. But let's start with the first announcement we did actually just before Christmas. World Cup of Pool, Saudi Arabia, $500,000 prize fund.
Wow, yeah, what an exciting month we've got. And, you know, like what you said, we thought 2019 was spectacular, and now we're heading into 2020, and what a spectacular year we've got ahead of us. Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, the World Cup of Pool, and it's never really felt its home. $250,000, the prize fund it used to be for, you know, ever since it started, and it's doubled. You know, teams are coming up for the event and they're getting a guaranteed $5,000 just to turn up. They're getting their airfare, they're getting their accommodation, they're getting everything. And what a fantastic event we're going to have there. You know, the staging, the presentation of everything. We're going to have studios, we're going to have players mic'd up all the time. So, you know, none of that sort of talking the different languages at the table, they need to speak English sort of thing. And it's just going to be just a completely higher tiered level of, you know, production really. And everyone is talking about the prize money. And it's just fantastic for the world of sport, obviously for the world of pool. And I'm excited to see how, the teams play out, obviously, what players come in. And it should be an exciting week.
You and I both know the Matchroom Pool inbox has been on fire this month. So many players, associations wanting to be involved in this event. That tells you how excited people are.
Yeah, of course. You know, we're inundated with players saying, you know, I want to be in it. Their countries, obviously, that they need to be in it. Obviously, the host nation gets 2 spots. We also, you know, need to look at the event as a worldwide, you know, it's a global international event, and we have many countries obviously participating, 31 different countries. But I think what's important is that what's probably not happened previous years is that players have not really earned their way into this, you know, World Cup. You know, with the increase in prize money, it's now so important and there's so much value to the tournament. Players should really earn their way and, you know, get through on merit. And that's something that we're definitely trying to head into that direction for. So even though players are, you know, messaging in and they think they're friends with Matchroom, and that's how maybe it's probably been before, but that's what we're really trying to steer away from. Pool is a fantastic sport that's not really earned its way in sort of the professional way of sport, and that's what we're really trying to drive into it. You know, players look after themselves, they're athletes, and that's what we're looking for. The players who are travelling around the world, grinding hard, going from event to event, that's who should earn their right into the World Cup.
And that brings us nicely to the Matchroom Pool rankings. You might have seen this announcement, not just Team Europe for the Mosconi Cup this year, Team USA as well, and a global ranking, which will be using lots of events from around the world to rank the players, and Emily will be using that for all sorts of things like the World Cup of Pool and the World Pool Masters invites.
Yeah, Matchroom Pool domination, I think. And it's always been something that we've always looked at. And, you know, having a world ranking system in place is great for our events. We obviously haven't had too many events in the past, but now we're growing. You know, we've got multiple events that are coming on board. It just makes sense that some of these shows should have their own ranking system for players to earn their right. And, you know, some of the other ranking points, I think we looked at it previously where certain champions were earning more points than different, you know, lower tiered events, which necessarily shouldn't really be the case. And by us having our own ranking system and that structure, you know, we're the best of the best, and we think that we have the players' best interests at heart. And it gives us some sort of, you know, control and dedication to look over as to, you know, what points the players can obviously earn to get into these events. And especially with Europe Mosconi Cup, Team USA Mosconi Cup, it's perfect because it gives these players the determination to actually go around, participate in all of these different events in order to make our shows, you know, World Pool Masters, World Cup of Pool, Mosconi Cup. And it just sets that platform up. And I think it's great that, especially for Team USA, you know, they've never really had that kind of structure. But also the events that are on these ranking points as such. It's more promotion for them. You know, they're also putting in so much hard work, you know, into the pool industry. They're putting in added prize money because obviously, you know, we say to them, you need to put in a minimum prize money for that certain event. And it's more PR for them. You're getting more players that want to participate in their events, and it's just better for the global sport. And I think it's a great idea that we're doing our own world rankings. And it's, you know, we've started it off early doors. There's nothing to say that we can't grow and we can't put more events on there, because we obviously want to do that ourselves. We want to add to this ranking system. And yeah, there's a lot that we can do with it.
And speaking of players earning their place on merit, by taking that approach to the World Pool Masters invites this year, what a field we've got. There's not a weak link in that field. I'm really excited for Gibraltar. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when we looked at the lineup list in the office and, you know, sitting there, there is such a big pool of players out there that we can now choose from. Previously, maybe in the past, you look at your characters, you look at the different countries that they're obviously from, you know, obviously it's an international field. But now, you know, the players are younger, they're fresher, and they're really sort of pulling through the ranks. And these are the players that should be getting into these events. Last year, we increased the prize money from 75,000 to 100,000. Great news for that event. And what's not to say that in a few years' time that we can increase again. I've recently attended the last World 9-Ball and saw Casper, where he won against Josh Filler. I was extremely impressed with how he played at the table. You know, Josh Filler is obviously a very difficult player to play against. We saw that at the Mosconi Cup, where some players do crumble against him as such. But he played fantastically. He held his own and thought, and, you know, sort of sat there and went, okay, maybe he can play in front of a few cameras and, you know, a big old screen sort of thing. So he's got the opportunity to come into the World Pool Masters amongst 23 other of the top players in the world. I mean, what other events in this industry can you get that opportunity? And rightly so. He's earned his right there. We've got other players, obviously, like Fedor Gors, he's earned his spot in there the second time running. Last year, he was European champion, and now he's come off of the world champion. Other players, I cannot wait to see, is Siming Chen. I think it's just fantastic that we obviously had Kelly Fisher last year as a wild card, and then we have the world #1 female. Siming getting through was just music to my ears, because what I loved about her was the US Open last year. She signed up to it, you know, just signed up, and she just thought, yeah, okay, I can play amongst the men. And personally, obviously, being a female myself, I like to think that, you know, if you think you're the best, then you should be playing with the best. And obviously, men are obviously very dominating in this sport. Siming just, you know, earned her right, and she just thought, yeah, I'm going to go in the US Open. And she did really well. I couldn't stop watching her matches. So I was obviously disappointed to see when she went out. But World Pool Masters, I mean, she's coming in, but she's already through to the second round because she's earned her right. And she's going to, I think she'll get far in that tournament. And I feel sorry for whoever she wins against. And I feel like I'm probably a little bit biased, but I think that's what's so great about the World Pool Masters now, because it's evolving, it's a different event. It's just more exciting. The younger players are coming through, and it's harder. We saw it last year. All of the matches were going all the way. And, you know, the players are finding it tough. 9 on the spot, brilliant. I think, you know, the players might say it's hard, but I think it's fantastic for viewership and the spectators coming in. And
something new this year for the spectators as well, Emily, with premium table seating.
Yes, obviously we regularly go to the darts here at Alexandra Palace, and something that we just really sort of need to test out is that with the Mosconi Cup, we obviously have this great tiered system, and this year we've got 3,000 people in. I mean, the Mosconi, well, there's no doubt about it, the Mosconi Cup will grow higher than 3,000 spectators. Okay, how do we get more than 3,000 in there? We can't keep getting higher because it's not physically possible. So we have to think of a completely reconfiguration. We're going to, you know, meet in the middle a little bit, and we're now testing out tables that are at the World Pool Masters. It's a premium ticket, so if you fancy a drink, then you come along. You get I think a couple of drinks within your ticket. You're down in the action, and you know, you've got a little bit of a tiered seat, and you've got tables there. So it's great if you're going with a few of your friends, and it's just a little bit more relaxed. You don't feel like you're sitting in your seat, and it's just, you know, you can hang with your friends, and it's, you know, sort of the pool meets darts a little bit. Obviously, we're very concerned about, you know, security levels and, you know, making sure that it doesn't disturb players and things like that. But I think that we need to test the waters. I mean, we could try and it could go completely wrong and it doesn't work, but it could work really well, and we could be looking at 2022, Alexandra Palace, 5,000 people in there. So we're just going to test it for the World Pool Masters. So if you've bought the premium ticket, I really hope it does work well. So we'll see what goes.
And if you've not bought the premium ticket, they're on sale now at matchroompool.com. Moving away from the World Pool Masters, we're at Alexandra Palace right now doing the World Championship of Ping Pong, but of course we're back here in December for the Mosconi Cup. And all change at the top, 2 new captains, 2 new vice-captains. Let's start with Europe, because Marcus had a really great run, won his first year on the bounce. You just felt it needed a little bit of a mix-up.
Yeah, you know, Marcus is a great guy, and he's always like, you just see him, you just want to give him a big hug. And he's a fantastic player. All of the players do respect him. You know, when you speak to the European players, they all have huge respect for him and what he says. So it's kind of no disrespect to Marcus as such. It was kind of just wrong timing for him as well. I think the fact that he had 2 losses just didn't really, you know, work well for him and do him any favours. But it just felt that Team Europe captaincy just needed a little fresh breath of air, and that's exactly what we needed to give for it. You know, when we looked at the captaincy role for it, you look at all the options, and we had so many different people that come through. Obviously, players that are currently obviously in the game, ex-players, and the thing is, you have to look at everything. Okay, they can't just be the top player in Europe or in the world. They have to be able to speak and sit at a press conference. I want them to fight with the USA captain. I don't want to be best friends with them. It needs to be exciting. It needs to, you know, they need to dislike one another, even if they just do it for show, like what we do for boxing and such. You know, you need to have that, you know, just butt heads as such. And as much as someone might be a fantastic player and a great candidate for it, we have to look at the bigger picture. Okay, so it's fantastic. We've got Alex Laley. He's been in it twice before. Won 1, lost 1. Fantastic, because third time lucky. I don't really mind who wins or loses, but Alex has a fantastic opportunity at it, because personally I think him and Johan are friends, and they've coached together, and they've obviously had a lot of run-ins together with the Mosconi Cup previous events. So I think Alex has probably got a lot on his shoulders where he's thinking, okay, I've got to be better than Johan, from obviously where he coached Europe before and he was the coach for USA. So he's now thinking, oh, okay, I've really got to step up the plate. I've got to be, you know, a better coach. And he was telling me that he's really been working on his coaching game. So that's something that he's obviously been improving on. I mean, he messages me once a week asking for more budget, more things that he can be doing with Team Europe. I mean, obviously he gets no, because we don't have that kind of money, but he wants to take the players to Poland the week before the Mosconi Cup, which obviously, but the main point is that it's great that there's that eagerness for throughout the year. You know, the Mosconi Cup is not just a 4-day event anymore. Okay, yeah, it was previous years ago, but that's not it anymore. We have a press conference, we have fight week. You know, the captains head-to-head last year, brilliant. But we also have the players all coming in a week before. We have warm-up matches. But we also have them playing all throughout the year to try and earn their spot into the team. So there is this talking point, and the fact that we've now got a captain that is involved throughout is brilliant news. And Alex is very informative. He's very knowledgeable. So coupled with someone like Carl Boyes, who was obviously one of our, you know, Matchroom pundits and commentators, I thought it was perfect, to be honest, because you've got the seriousness in Alex, and then you've got this joker as such as Carl Boyes, who everyone perceives as that, but actually deep down he is very smart when it comes to the format of the Mosconi Cup. And you and I both know, Nick, how difficult it is to work out how many matches there are and what players can't be doing that. And we have to double check that the players and the captains are actually deciding correctly. Carl is very clued up on this. And I think JJ and Joey Gray need to really, really be careful about this, because Carl and Alex are going to be very good working together. And I think they need to watch out on that format. Obviously, we're going to make a few tweaks to it for this year, make sure that it's more of an equal playing ground as such, because now the MVP is such a high, it's so valuable to these players. You know, they get their spot into the World Pool Masters. Perfect. So we have to make sure that it is equal. So Alex and Carl, I'm excited to see them both work together, but they are going to be dangerous, definitely.
I'm excited too, especially to see Cole mess up that lineup on day 2 or 3 of next year's Mosconi Cup. And I need somebody new for Off the Rail, so if you're interested, get in touch. Team USA then, a lot of pressure on Jeremy because they've won the last 2, like you say. Europe are always going to be strong. They've had a change of captaincy. But people will be expecting Jeremy to come in and keep that winning streak going, and that's not going to be easy, is it?
Definitely not. And I feel for Jeremy because it is a tough one, but he didn't once, you know, he didn't sit there and hesitate. He was like, yes, 100%, I'm in. But I think that JJ's kind of gone a little bit under the radar the last couple of years. You know, Johan did a fantastic job for Team USA. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. It got to the point where I think you and I could have gone out and played better than Team USA back in 2017. But that was Johan's, that was Johan's first ever year of doing it. And I don't think he realised how much of a tough task he actually had ahead of him. You know, 5 players who were all fantastic within their own right, didn't work as a team. USA, in my time, never worked as a team. And it was actually quite upsetting and distressing to see that in Vegas 2017. So obviously, Johan had a 3-year plan, which was great. You know, first year, okay, he lost, he saw what happened. Second year comes in, obviously, JJ comes in as well, because I think what we never really saw with the Americans was that obviously being European himself, it was quite a strong point for Team USA. They needed someone to communicate with, which JJ was that perfect replacement for, basically. You know, Johan was the strict, stern one. And JJ was the one who was going, right, come on guys, you know, sort of thing. And he communicated with them really well the last 2 years. So I think Jeremy has a lot to prove because obviously Johan did such a fantastic job. But don't underestimate him at all, because one thing I certainly have seen behind closed doors the last 2 years is how well of a relationship he has with these players. He's so passionate about actually making sure that they want to do well themselves. So he's passionate about their careers, their coaching, and he actually wants to see them do well. He wants to travel throughout the year to these different tournaments and work with them on their game, which is fantastic. So even though he's not that stern, strict type, which I do think Team USA need, but that's why I'm here, because then I can be the horrible bitch mum. So it's fantastic. But JJ is the one who communicates with them. And they all really, not that they didn't respect Johan, but they all really respect Jeremy. They respect his game, they respect him as a player, and they respect him as a teacher, which is fantastic. Then Joey, I mean, I have no idea who he is. Sorry, Joey, I don't know. But he might be bloody useless or he might be bloody excellent. You don't know. But JJ recommended him, and it was up to JJ to decide. Fantastic. So let's see how that goes. I think I've heard there's a lot in the group chat. Obviously, the players aren't decided, but there's a pool of players that, you know, we know that are going to be involved through, you know, rankings and things like that. They're all talking about Joey trying to get them all in shape, going to the gym. I mean, they're all at Derby at the moment, and Joey's saying, come on, everyone, we're going in the gym. I'm going to get you all bulked up and things like that. So I'm quite impressed a little bit so far, but it's early days. He's getting, you know, a couple of quid for it, and he might just be, you know, doing it sort of thing. But it's exciting because it's a brand new duo we haven't seen before, exactly like Team Europe. But again, they can't relax. They can't think this is easy, because they need to remember there's 3,000 people out there. Probably 2,500 of them are going to be Team Europe fans. We have seen in our ticket sales that a lot of American fans have actually purchased tickets, which is great news. I really, really hope the American fans get behind this event here in the UK. I know things are expensive and things coming over, but Team USA really need that backup and support. And that's what we really saw last year. They had that support in the US, and it was so fantastic to see, and it just really made an atmosphere. So I really hope that the fans do come over. but I'm really excited. I just want to fast forward to sort of press conference week where we've got like JJ, Joey, Alex and Carl sitting there with all of the players, all neck and neck, and hopefully not sort of forced as such. But again, touching base on the fact that the Mosconi Cup, it's not a 4-day event. This is a year event. Everyone talks about it. Everyone knows what the Mosconi Cup is. This is the biggest event in Poole, biggest exposure, biggest live spectatorship. This is what everyone should be talking about, and everyone will be talking about it throughout the year. And I think, personally, we have absolutely nailed it on the captains this year. You can clip that up and quote me on it this time next year if it goes totally wrong, but I'm really, really confident about how it goes.
Don't fast forward too far to the press conference because you'll miss the World Nine Ball Championship.
Oh.
Let's talk about that. It's hot off the press. There's not a lot of information at the minute, but what can you tell us?
World Nine Ball, my gosh. I went out there last December and it was just, you see this event, and I think I went and saw the US Open before, we obviously took it on. And it's so exciting to sit there and go, okay, what can we do with this? And you just want to grab it all by the sort of the horns and just go, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Not that, anyone's doing it wrong in particular to start off with, but, no one does anything quite like us. We put our own spin on it and things are different. But what a fantastic announcement, for the world of pool. Matchroom take over the World Nine Ball. There's a lot of talks about Cardiff and things like that. I personally, I know that we've done the event before. None of us lot have. We haven't got a Scooby as to what happened back in 2008. So as far as we're concerned, we've got to look ahead, see what's out there on new venues and things like that. Obviously, not a lot of information at the moment, but it's because we need to make sure that we're doing everything right. We've obviously brainstormed the format. It's a 5-day event, 14th to the 18th of October. Venue to be confirmed. But we are looking at Asia, possibly the UK, maybe the United States, but the US Open's earned its right in the States. It sits there, and we like to keep those two events different. And I think we've learned a lot from the US Open. We had a 256 player field, obviously, last year. A lot of tables, 33 tables in one room. This time we're looking at 16 tables. Easy. We've done 33 tables, so 16 is just a walk in the park for us. So it's just going to feel a little bit relaxed on that side of things. We're obviously going to nail down the format. We're going to have a little relook at, winner breaks, the 9 on the spot, because watching it last year, it just felt a bit boring, which is probably a terrible thing to say, but it was. You were kind of just waiting for players to miss and then the opponent to come up and make a shot. And as a casual sports fan myself, I found it really tedious to watch. These are the people we're trying to draw in, so we automatically need to come away from that and have a relook at that format. But also, to the hardcore fans and to the players out there, we need to make sure that we're looking at the seeding, making sure that the players, have a fair game throughout the whole tournament. The double elimination, the single elimination, we've got that nailed on. We'll announce details on that shortly. I won't give it all away right now. But increased prize fund, which is obviously fantastic news for the players, and also a new arena. No sort of small billiards halls. This is the World Nine Ball Championship. And I think the first thing that we need to do is to take it from there up to there. And we only need to do that with a little sprinkle of Matchroom dust. And that's already first on our list. So it's very exciting.
Well, I don't know about you, but that's made me very excited for the year ahead. Emily, thank you very much for joining us. Loads more news to come out on the World Nine Ball Championship. Make sure you're following the social media pages to hear all the latest news as it breaks. That's all from this month's Off the Rail. We'll see you next month.